There we go. Okay, and we gotta pop out the chat. Gotta set it to top chat. Or, sorry, live chat, I mean. There we go. Cool. All right, and boom. There we are. Happy Sunday. I hope you're doing well. I mean, unless it's Monday. I also hope you're doing well if it's Monday as well. But, you know, Square Peg makes games. See you all in 7 hours. Well, I hope you're able to make it. Let's see here. Fraser, hello from overcast Glasgow, Scotland. It is lovely and sunny here today, but it is chilly. It was like 48 degrees when I woke up this morning, and now it's 53, but still. Let's see. Bradley, how you doing? Dragonfire, morning from Quebec. Tim Morton, good morning from not sure yet. Either cloudy, smoky, rainy, who knows? Southern Oregon, makes sense. Fungazi, how you doing? Good morning from lovely Post Nova, Washington, D.C. Like I said in the video, the weather was astounding while we were there. It was some of the best I've probably ever had while I've been in D.C. in the end of August. Yeah, normally it is gross, but it was lovely. Let's see here. Shut up, Phil. How you doing? Motor Breath Jazz. Hello, hello. Nick, how you doing? Watching every other Sunday and planning next week's solo September gameplay. 5 parsecs. There you go. Rod Demore, how you doing? Jeff Muncie, good. Excuse me. Good morning from chilly Indy. Yeah, it's supposed to start to warm up again a little bit, but yeah. Let's see. You're painting some 3D printed skeletons near Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. My hobby planning is mostly done for the year. I should have done some voice exercises before I started this morning. Me. Darker, good to see you. VJ Morph, how you doing? BF Bulldog, good morning from a cool Yukon, Oklahoma. Robert Dean, good morning. Let's see here. Printing out some last terrain pieces for Battletech before I shut down my 3D printer for the winter. Is it like outside in a shed or something like that? Or is there some other reason you don't print in the winter? Like for me, with FDM, printing in the winter is usually fine because it's not very humid then down in the basement. The heat can be sometimes a little bit of an issue, but you know. Loosely Collected, how you doing? Nick Butler, it's warm and muggy, Sussex, UK, and autumn hobby plans are all about making games. Nice. Morning from rainy Quebec City, just enjoying my morning coffee. How you doing? Gray and wet Philadelphia, how you doing? Pretty sweet haul there from your trip to Nova. Well, yeah, it was a good. Like initially, I'll be honest with you, I got a couple days in, and I was like, geez, I haven't really bought much. And I think the main thing that I had bought at that point had just been really that Art of book. I picked that up just before me and Vince did our talk on Friday evening. But then afterwards, I started finding things that I wanted to get, and so it was fine. Good morning from Florida. Hope everything's going well for you. Not too bad. I went to kind of a reunion show last night. A bunch of local bands, some like newer and current bands, and then a bunch of like old guy bands like me who got together and did like a big show and at a bar downtown, like an outdoor thing. And so it was a good time. There's a lot of people there I hadn't seen in years, and so it was really nice to catch up with folks and that kind of stuff. And the music was cool. I learned about a new band, local band here in town that I like quite a bit. They're called Smoke Free Home, and I'd been seeing their names on posters for a while around town and things like that and everything. And when I saw they were on the docket for this show, I was like, oh, I want to make sure I get there in time to see it. And they were really good. It's a 3-piece. It's a singer, and then it's a bass player and a drummer. There's no regular guitarist. There's only bass guitar, and but it works out really well. So you can find them on Bandcamp. You can find them on Apple Music. I'm assuming you can find them on Spotify, but I didn't look. But I do have a little bit of ringing in my ears, which Let's see here. Hello and morning all. Just finished a vintage Airfix Duck W kit. I don't know what a Duck W kit is. Fall is upon us. Does seem to be the case. According to Starbucks and Hobby Lobby, it started August 15th. Well, sure. I saw Christmas stuff go up. Like, where was I? I was someplace recently. I'm like, oh, there's Christmas stuff up. That's crazy. Why not just leave it up all year round? Why don't we just do that then, I guess? Ralph, how you doing? Bryant, hello from Pennsylvania. DJ Todd P. Harris, good morning from Columbus, Ohio. Fishing for more, how you doing? Oh, and then it moved. There we go. Going from Pennsylvania, best wishes for all things, Uncle Adam. I appreciate that, Hesperus. Sam, how you doing? Good morning from northeastern North Carolina. Scotty, howdy. Hey ho from Scranton, Pennsylvania. Once again, just finishing up my first Gundam model. Overall, meh. Well, are you painting it or are you not? I know some people don't paint them because they come in properly colored plastic and stuff like that. Some people will just weather them after they put them together, and some people will like prime over and start and do, whatever they want. I still have a piece of Gundam. Is that the proper terminology? I have a chunk of Gundam, a smidgen of Gundam upstairs in the like the guest room or whatever in the closet, and I should really. What was that fat squirrel? Jeez. I should really put it together and just see what it's all about. I know the kids these days they're big fans of the Gundams and the TikToks. Let's see here. What else are we doing here? Good morning from Dallas, Antonio. How you doing? Molly in Mystic, Canada. How you doing? Good morning from Farmington Hills, Michigan. Howdy. Pesler the Polychromatic. It's a fun name. Good morning from busy Saskatchewan. Have an entire headquarters to move this week. Oh, geez, wow, that doesn't sound like fun. I hate moving, so that's my sympathies. Gaming Geekery, rainy and damp here in North Carolina. Matthew Phillips. Good morning from rainy SJ. I don't know what SJ is. Should I know what SJ is? I should probably. San Juan. Good day to catch up on some clan rats. Too many clan rats. There's a lot of rats. Yeah, no, that's... I know what you mean. Morning from Columbus, Ohio, working on lists for Horus Heresy 3rd edition. Nice. I did some list building yesterday, actually. I can probably talk about that in a little bit. Hi from south of Sweden, getting ready to move houses and managed to fit it all in, all my hobby stuff, minis included, into 3 moving boxes. Nice. I could not do that. Hello from Wigan. Or is it Wigan? Or is it Wigan? I'm not sure. Painting Battletech, nice. JJ, beep boopin. Wargaming Wanderlust, good morning from Columbus. We got a lot of people in Columbus. That's, let's see here. Space Gamer, howdy. Natos 4 on Life, heyo. The Aimbot, morning from Virginia. Hope you got a chance to try that breakfast joint I recommended at the Nova Open. I didn't really. Like, I basically, for the most part, just, I don't know, like, I did breakfast, but, like, I don't know, I just kind of, breakfast was definitely, for me, like, a day that I didn't do much. I didn't, like, go and hook up with some people and let's all go to breakfast kind of thing. It was more of a, let's just have some quiet time kind of situation. So, yeah, I didn't end up really, I did walk all the way down to Krispy Kreme at one point. At least once, I think. But yeah. We went to a place called Bar Charlie, I believe, or Charlie Bar. No, I think it was Bar Charlie. On Thursday night, a big group of us, which was basically suggested to us by a local guy who was working for Mantic. He walked over to the Army Painter booth and he was like, "Hey, you guys should go to this place. It's really good." And we were like, "All right." And then we actually did. I mean, not all of us from Army Painter, but like me and Vince and Ninjan and some other friends of ours, and I forget who else. And that's maybe, but it was good. Hello from Sacramento. Having a game of Blood Bowl on PC while listening. Hope you're well. Protein Fabricator. I'm doing okay. Duke Liberty, good morning. Thank you for everything you do, sir. We appreciate you. Well, I appreciate that you appreciate that. I appreciate it. Thank you for saying that. Good midnight from Queensland. How are you doing? Good morning from rainy Boston. Nova was great as usual. Yes, it was. Yeah, it was. I always enjoy that show. It's pretty. Like I said in the video on Friday. It's pretty much like Adepticon and then Nova and then Gen Con. Um, and LVO is a good show too. It's gonna be real interesting to see what it turns into now that it's moving and kind of, you know, there's a part of me that kind of wishes I was going, but it's the same that when they made the second LVO this year, they basically made it the exact same weekend as Dragonfall, which my friend, good old moderator Matt, if you're an old head here from the Every Other Sunday show, he runs the charity raffle and stuff like that for that, and so I always want to go and give moral support and whatnot. And it's one of the few times a year I usually get to see him. It's usually then and Adepticon. So yeah, but Phil, the Glacial Geek, and Sam are both going to be at second LVO. I don't know who else is. I mean, Army Painter folks, but I don't know if any other. I don't know if any other folks that I know of are going specifically. Good afternoon from dull, overcast Isle of Wight. How you doing? Bremerton, Washington. How you doing? Sweaty Tampa, Florida. I appreciate that, Jean. Or Jean-Pierre, sorry. Good afternoon from sunny and warm Berlin, Germany. Summer is not quite over here. Yeah, I mean, it's coming back. Like, we're getting it, like, we're heading back into the 70s again the next couple of days, and it's going to be like that for a while. But, like, just the last, 3 days, it's been chilly, and it's been sort of nice because you can put on a hoodie and you're wearing pants again and not shorts, and I enjoy it. And then when you stand around outside at a music venue like I did last night, then you're like, oh yeah, it's kind of cold. Hello from Santa Cruz. Thanks for showing us your booty. Indeed, I'm interested in BattleTech Aces. Me too. I'm hoping it comes out soonish. I swear I heard something like maybe was Black Friday the right date? Sometime this year, before the end of the year. Morning from chilly Milwaukee, indeed. Pennsylvania, representing, absolutely. That's why my print didn't work. I'm so out of it these days. I forgot to let the resin warm up. Well, resin, but yeah, from what I understand, it's got to be warm. Good afternoon from Italy. First time I managed to join the live. Well, great to see you. I have a room in the house, but the room has its own heat and isn't used. The room is heated to regulate the temp, or hard to regulate the temp. Resin printer. Oh, well, if it's resin, yeah. I'm printing FDM, and you don't have to be quite as concerned about temperature. But yeah, I get you. Got a notification from DHL. We'll be dropping off my Epic Warpath pledge tomorrow. Neat. That's pretty cool. I'm supposed to be getting something today, I think. Oh, I ordered Sun Rot just to kind of check it out. I think it came out at Adepticon. It's technically kind of an RPG, but you play it with miniatures, and there's also cards that are involved, and it's a whole thing. And it sounded really interesting, so I'm like, I should pick it up. And so I ordered it after I got back. I either ordered it before or after Nova, yeah. On and off raining Cheltenham, UK, painting some Beastmen as magically mutated mountain goats for D&D. Nice. And excited for BattleTech Aces to give Alpha Strike new life over winter. Yeah, absolutely. I think that will be cool. OPR new vampire faction sounds awesome, but alas, no 3D printer. I mean, sometimes you can get that stuff 3D printed for you. Like, there's a company called Only Games, and they print a lot of stuff that's on My Mini Factory. So sometimes products on My Mini Factory, you'll find there's like a button you can click, and it'll take you over to Only Games, and then it'll show you whether it's printable, like whether they are doing it or not. So that's something to think about. I haven't seen the new vampire faction, honestly. Stumbled across Dungeons and Lasers miniatures for the first time. Absolutely floored by the quality and cost. Yeah, I mean, they're really quite nice. Archon does good work. I'm glad they got their stuff like all kind of figured out, you know. Just had the poop scared out of me with the UK government alarm blast off on my phone. Yeah, those are no fun. I need to cast a bunch of my own figures and outdoor activities, so I really need to make use of the remaining warm days before the weather cools off. Yep, yep. Old bands? Nope, no meat jelly. No. Let's see here. Cookie Bug, Moral Disgust, Rebel Waltz. There were several other ones too, but those were like the kind of the headliner kind of old guy bands basically. And it was all pretty much kind of punk and like alternative. When I say old guy bands, it's not like yacht rock or anything like that. It's just, you know, some of the bands were bands that I didn't that well, Moral Disgust I kind of missed almost as a kid because like I would want they would do shows and my mom wouldn't let me go. And then at that point they'd kind of started to age out of it a little bit by the time I was like, bar going age and stuff like that. So I kind of missed well, yeah, Moral Disgust. I know I caught them at least a couple of times back in the day, but Rebel Waltz was another one that I had tapes and stuff like that or whatever, but I never had actually seen them. I know some of the guys in the band, so it's now these days, but back when I was a kid. Let's see here. In the summer, I can just let it do its thing because the room will stay warm with no interaction. In the winter, it's a lot harder. Yeah, yeah. From what I see, a lot of resin printers these days are starting to come with like heaters built in to warm the resin. Like previously, the trick was to buy these. It's like a rubber belt that you plug into the wall, and it's for heating up. I think when you're brewing beer, when you're home brewing, if you need the whatever the vessel that has a bunch of stuff that you're mixing in it, you need to keep it at a certain temperature. So you buy these brewer's belts basically, and you plug it in. And I think it was Ninjon who was like, "Oh yeah, I use that," and then it helps, keep it at a steady because my basement's cold sometimes. So, but yeah, it was nowadays. But I see that a lot of them, the newer ones, have heated vats or whatever, which makes sense. There we go. Just finally getting around to varnishing the decals on my Blood Bowl Ogre team here in sunny Toronto. Nice. Hell yeah, to Dungeons and Laser stuff. Just had my late pledge of their caves stuff turn up recently. Nice. I've got a bunch of that urban decay kind of terrain that is awesome. Just spectacular stuff. Hope your mom's recovering. My mom had the same thing happen with the effects that's hard on the family. She's still doing okay, but I don't know. She's still mentally like not completely recovering at all. So, but she seems comfortable and in decent spirits. So that's good. That's at this point kind of all we can kind of hope for. It's a World War II era amphibious truck. Oh, a duck. Oh, duh. Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's a city in Wisconsin called Wisconsin Dells, and they use those ducks, and they do tours of the Dells because it's beautiful rock formations and all this kind of stuff. And so you get in them, they drive around, go through the woods and do stuff, and then they go in the water. Yeah, the ducks. Okay. When you write it that way, I'm like, it looks like a typo, but it was right. Are they no longer doing duck tours of the Wisconsin Dells? They are, from what I understand. Yes. My daughter saw Deftones and System of a Down on Wednesday night. Nice. Love finding a new band. Hivescum podcast just got me into Chained to the Bottom of the Ocean. Yeah. I keep hearing them talk about those guys too. Yep. Sam's Club put their Christmas stuff up already next to the Halloween stuff. Irritates the heck out of me. I know. Like, can we just do Halloween first and then do Christmas? Do we have to be like, well, here's some Halloween, I guess, but then, hey, Christmas. Like, Halloween's way better than Christmas anyway. Let's see here. Good afternoon from Tenerife in the Canary Islands. How you doing? Multiple Scranton folks. Nice. Good morning from Cleveland. How you doing? Good morning from New York. Have some cruel boys for Spearhead to work on today. Nice. Hello there from a wet and windy Lancashire. Heresy, how you doing? Gundams in the TikToks. Looks like I came in at the right time. Indeed, indeed. I see people painting Gundam models like figures online occasionally. Looks like fun. For the most part, I've never been into anime. When I was a kid, we used to watch after school, Voltron. Phew, excuse me. Voltron, some Robotech, Battle of the Planets, aka G-Force, which was actually, and all of those were like Japanese stuff that was like basically repackaged and sold to us kids. I mean, we didn't pay for it really, other than watching ads. But yeah, that was about as far into anime as I ever got. I've tried to watch Akira twice. I've failed both times in that I have fallen asleep. Usually it's at night, so there's that, But still, I don't know. So the Gundam stuff has never necessarily stuck with me. But it is interesting to see, like, the way it's built and the way that you put things together and how it's, from what I understand, a lot of it, most of it is basically snap fit. Is that the case? Like, or push fit or whatever? I think that's cool. Didn't want to paint it because, as Adam said, it's the pre-colored plastic. Yeah, I can see that. Good time of day. Nothing like gathering up games for an auction to reinforce that regret of getting in. Oh, yeah, no, I've been in that boat too. Need a van to move my hobby stuff and another for the rest of the house. There you go. I think the official term is a hype train of Gundam. Ooh, there you go. Hello from Aarhus. Hey, how you doing? Good to see you next time. Hope to see you next time you visit my town. Yeah. I liked Aarhus. It was very nice. When we went to Denmark last year, the factory team, Aarhus is, I believe, the second largest city in Denmark, but it is much, much closer to Skanderborg, which is where Army Painter is, than Copenhagen, which is the biggest city, I believe, in Denmark, but it's on like the other side of the country. So, but yeah, no, we had a good time on Aarhus. Yeah, and if we get to go back again, which maybe we will, we'll see how it goes. Maybe next year. We were like, well, I came up with it because we bumped into some people while we were walking around town and doing things. We went to a couple of pubs and stuff like that, or whatever, and we went to a game store, and people afterwards, like, we did bump into some people who knew us, which was cool. I mean, it makes sense at a game store, I guess. But there was a guy at the bar who also was like, watches the YouTubes and stuff. Anyway, my point is that I was thinking about it and I'm like, next time we should tell people that we're coming and have like a thing, like an event or something at like maybe the game store or something. So we'll see how that works out. Rainy in South Wales, but perfect weather to paint little people. Absolutely. Greetings from Los Angeles. Do you have miniatures with bases that don't magnetize well? Those skinny Frostgrave bases come to mind. Any tips about how to store them safely? When those little, they call them puddle bases, and they're the little skinny base that goes just around the feet, kind of. I'll be honest, I have a tendency to clip those away and then put the guys on regular bases. Yeah, I don't like the puddle bases, so I clip them away from around the feet, and then I glue the guy to a regular base or whatever, and go from there. My nose is kind of running just a little bit. Sorry. Just bought a Gundam model. It's the first time I've built since college. Hopefully, like Anakin, my powers have doubled since then. I mean, sure, why not? Did you see Andy again at Nova or Paths Not Cross? Yeah, I mean, kind of from a distance. They had a good sized booth. Is that fuzzy on my nose? They had a good sized booth at Nova, and they were pretty busy quite frequently. So we waved at each other at one point. But yeah, Bar Charlie. Wonder if it's affiliated with the ones around. I think it's spelled Charlie with a Y at the end, like Ley. I could be wrong though. Buddy of mine uses a gun case for his miniatures. Yeah, I've seen like those plastic pistol cases. Editing my future RPG adventure module publication while listening to this. Hi from the Italian Alps. So how you doing? Greetings from Sarnia. I think I'm pronouncing that right. I hope I am. Fan of yours for the last 4 years. Well, I appreciate that. Thank you. I got a very cheap and surprisingly sturdy case from Temu. Well, you know. Morning from a too hot Southern California. Played our first Learning Infinity game yesterday and getting hyped for Trench Crusade. Nice. What is Army Painter's stance on the tariff fiasco? How much do you think they will increase prices? I haven't heard anything, so I don't know. I've wondered about it because they manufacture the paints in Denmark. So yeah, I don't know what's they haven't announced anything yet, but we haven't really, it hasn't come up on our end yet, I guess. I mean, they don't ask us about what we think about the pricing and stuff generally. They ask us about products and things, but not usually about pricing too much. I have a very itchy nose. FDM for terrain and resin for minis is my usual. Makes sense. Yeah. Let's see. LVO2 this time it's personal. I mean, kind of, yeah. It's going to be real interesting to see what they're going to do with that new location. Howdy from Orlando. Prepping models for our next 2 local conventions. Nice. I'll definitely be picking up Battletech Aces. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it too. Always enjoy my Sunday mornings here in the chat. How you doing, Blake? Solo play interests me. Yep. LRM Boat Bane is really cool. Interesting. Let's see here. Short and sweet. Got to head out today. Have a great day. Absolutely useful, G. Morning from the Caribou in BC. Happy time of day to you. Happy time of day to you as well. I already have a bunch of painted mechs from Painting Terror I went on over COVID, so I can get aces straight to the table. Solo means no waiting for an opponent. Also true. Yeah. Anyone going to PAX East? That was in May, wasn't it? Or do you mean next year? Or do you mean PAX Unplugged? So PAX Unplugged is in Philadelphia in November, just before American Thanksgiving. Don't know how cold some people's rooms get, but my print room hovers around the low to mid 60s Fahrenheit in winter months, and I have zero issues with my resin 3D printing. Our basement can get 60, sometimes 58. On the band front, Tron Ares with 9 Inch Nails soundtrack makes my late Gen X heart happy. I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to the movie quite a bit. Hello from Tuscany, finally catching a live stream after a long time of catching up with recordings. Well, that's good to hear. I'm glad to see you, Wargaming Hobby. Hope you're doing well. I am behind. Where the heck? There we go. Okay. I found some retro game rules books during house cleaning. MG Games Terran Wars from Toledo, printed in 1990, and Starcore Call to Battle from Team Frog. Oh, I remember Team Frog. Yeah. I would talk to that guy sometimes at Gen Con back in the day. Love a good old guy punk band. Proof us older guys don't always go conservative. Yeah. Saw Black Flag in Detroit in 81, Plasmatics in 85, Sex Pistols in 88. Nice. I saw the Ramones in 95, maybe? Somewhere around there. In Ireland and the UK, Airfix do vintage releases in Aldi and Lidl. Are they the same company? It sounds like it almost, because they both have the, you know, just almost nearly the same amount. They have the same amount of letters and almost the same number. Letters just moved around a little bit. We have an Aldi here in town, but we don't have a Lidl. Great way to build one day rainy day kits. Yep, sure. At least I got to see the Grateful Dead 4 times. Wow. I haven't seen a plastic kit at an Aldi here in the US yet. I've seen strange stuff. Like back in the day, like 15 years ago, every once in a while they'd have like computer stuff. You know what I mean? They'd have like and I don't mean like a mouse. I mean like a PC that you could buy. I think I remember buying a scanner from them years and years and years ago. Anyone coming to QuestCon Orlando or Huracan this year? Going to be a busy September. No, no. Happy Sunday. While I wait at the airport, started my first Necromunda campaign yesterday. Had a 5-inch blast. Nice, I get it. Weekly reminder to update your overlays and remove Twitter. Yeah, I saw it just before I was going to start, and I was like, oh, yeah, I got to do that. Used to have those in London. It's a great way to see the sights along the Thames. Yeah, I could see that. Coolest and best shows I ever saw were on tiny, dingy, smoky little bars. Yeah. We had a duck boat in Philly that killed a group of folks. Yeah, I think I remember hearing about that. Did you come across Station Forge? They do some crazy vehicles. The name sounds super familiar, but I don't know if I've seen any vehicles. Listening to the Stooges' first album right now. Nice. I'm very old school and just old. I grew up with no Christmas before Thanksgiving, and I'm still a firm believer in it. Yes, I agree. There's no Christmas until the day after Thanksgiving. Like Black Friday, just dump it. Just lots of Christmas. Put it out there. Great. Knock yourself out. I mean, I don't want it, but other people do, and that's great. But yeah, no, should not be doing it before. In my family, we joke that there are only 2 seasons. It's either summer or Christmas. Yeah, yeah. Hi from Indiana, working on Gaslands teams. Nice. Going from Davenport, Iowa, painting some Moonstone minis. Very cool. Voltron reference, Gen X. Those were cool toys. Yeah, yeah. Putting up some of my better pictures from Os Armor Fest. Gotcha. Okay. Morning from Drizzly Samamish. Samamish is a fun word. Cowboy Bebop. We did watch that, my wife and I, and a bunch of our friends. We did when it was on like Adult Swim or something like that. I think we watched the entire series. Ghost in the Shell is real good. I'm gonna say something controversial. I like the movie with what's her name, Scarlett Johansson, and I know people who are like really into the anime are like, no, you can't, and I'm like, but I do though. So yeah. Morning to all. Adam, do you know how the scale of weird miniatures compares to GW Games Workshop looking for some weird war plastics? Malifaux people are generally sort of skinnier, not quite as stocky as GW stuff. Not as thick. As far as height is concerned, I think that they're closer to 32 than 28 for sure, but I don't know beyond that too much. It was all about the Americanized anime shows, Voltron, Robotech, even Transformers. Record of Lodos War is my favorite D&D type movie. Nice. Never watched any anime besides Star Blazers. Rewatched Battle of the Planets recently, and Casey Kasem's voice really takes me out of it. Yeah. As a kid, I didn't realize, but then, yeah, later on, you're like, oh, yeah. Akira and Ghost in the Shell are seminal anime works. This is what I've been told. Robotech, Ninja Scroll, Fist of the North Star, Akira. Yeah, I never really watched any of that stuff. Still painting 15mm Warlord British 7 regiments done. Still have a lot to go. Will I ever get these done? Quote the minis, nevermore. There's people talking about anime. Good morning from wild, wonderful Hurricane, West Virginia. Day 2 of Hurricane. There you go. Running a paint and take with Army Painter's Game Master pony bottles that Kat supplied a couple of years ago. Kat's great. She does good work. The happy Sunday when I catch the the every other Sunday show. Well, good to see you, Blue Nine. Let's see here. Loved your video on painting with gold. Yeah, I enjoyed that video too. And I enjoyed painting that big lizard. I kind of decided that going forward, my space lizards for one-page rules, which I will start painting on Twitch tomorrow. Yesterday, I primed them and then base coated them, and it turns out they're going to be purple. I wasn't sure. I was like, well, do I want to do red? Do I want to, I didn't want to do green because my Robot Legion's force, which is finished now, the entire 1,000-point list is done. They have like these teal cloaks, so I didn't want to have like, kind of blue-green versus green, and that kind of stuff. So I decided to go purple, which means I'm going to do a lot of gold. So I'll be using a lot of glittering loot because it's awesome. So it's just, if you haven't tried the metallic speed paints, you should try the metallic speed paints. They're really, really, really good. My friends and I watched Star Blazers after school at a friend's house. His family was the first thing to buy Sony Betamax. Ooh. If you want to magnetize puddle bases, you can get the thin magnetic sheets that you can cut shapes out of and glue on. They're not as strong as Neomags, but they hold. Yeah. But you're right. They are not as strong. That's true. So especially if it's a plastic model like Frostgrave stuff or Stargrave, then it's fine, probably. Well, the Frostgrave plastics don't have puddle bases, do they? Maybe they do. I don't remember. Stargrave models don't. I know that. At least I'm pretty sure they don't. But the metal ones almost always have puddle bases. One of my friends has gotten into Gundam models to help live with his military-related PTSD and brain scrambling. He's Warhammer aware, but I love him too much to let him go down that road. Yeah, I mean, I understand that. I got to be honest. I was looking at the Warhammer community website just a little while ago, and I was like, everything I looked at, I went, meh. I don't know what it is. It's like, I was looking at it and I was like, okay, pre-order some, that guy's chunky. It's a decent picture. This guy's got the emo haircut that I just can't take seriously out of a Space Marine. I don't know why. Raven Guard shit, no, don't care. Hellsmith sufficient, no. New Warhammer subscriber miniatures painted by the team. I got to be honest, if I was a Warhammer Plus guy and I had to choose between an Eldar and that other guy, I'd be like, oof, I guess I'd take this guy just because the skeletons are neat. But yeah, this Eldar, it's not for me. Anyway, yeah, they haven't done anything in a minute now that I've just been looking at and going, ooh, I need me some of that. Everything's just been like meh, which is weird. Who are the Hellsmiths of Hashut? Well, they're just these guys. Let's see here. Puddle bases, Gundam models. Oh, dang it. It's like I scroll down just a little too far and then it goes and scrolls a whole bunch and then I'm sad. Cowboy Bebop. And there we go. Okay. I just spent $500 on Gundam stuff at the Gundam base tour that came to Milwaukee. Wow, it's a lot of Gundam. I like gluing puddle-based minis onto lip top bases from Reaper and Warlord. That helps. Yeah. It's easier than clipping them away, especially if they're metal. Greetings from Central Finland, and I'm sorry I'm a bit late. That's okay. It's not a problem. I'm a bit late reading your comment. Currently building Tomb Guard for the old world. Nice. Hi from Coventry, just sitting here watching you and building Gaunt's Ghosts. Nice. I have that kit in my basement. I want my son to cut me some bases out of steel. Ooh, that sounds fun. Like one of those laser steel thing or cutting thing, or is it the water jet ones? Those are pretty cool. Anyone here into Free Blades? Just started building. I played a Free Blades demo at Adepticon probably a decade ago, but they're always there, you know, and they're very frequently also at Gen Con too. Yeah. I'll be at PAX Unplugged. Can't wait. Nice. I would like to go this year, but I don't think I'm going to be able to. I was hoping that we could, because then me and my wife would go, because she likes board games and stuff like that. And so there's lots of different types of things going on there. Also, being in Philadelphia, her sister lives in Philadelphia. So we could also visit with her sister, which would be like two birds, one stone kind of situation. But hopefully she'll be starting her new job by then, if she gets a new job soon, which we're hoping, you know, fingers crossed. And then it's usually kind of hard to be like, hey, I just started here. Can I take half a week off or whatever and go to Philadelphia? So there's that. But one of these days I'm going to make it there. Greetings from Northeast Georgia. Do you think Trench Crusade is going to expand their STL range or focus more on rules and gameplay? I think that they're going to probably work a little bit on rules, but I think that they're also heading into plastics. So, yeah, I did not see any of the plastics, but I heard rumors about plastics at Nova. Army Painter was selling like a kit. There's a box about yay big that I think had 7 bottles in it, 7 or 8 bottles. And they were like normal paints that, you know, are from the line, but it was like a bundle that was designed to be kind of Trench Crusade type colors, right? So you could buy that bundle, and then if you took that box with you to the very, very end of the Hobby Haven hallway at like 2:30 every day, and then you showed them, hey, I bought this box, and they would give you some sprues, I think, of the new plastics, or maybe they were already put together and primed. I don't know, but then you could paint them and stuff like that there in the hobby area. But I never did get to see any. So, but from what I understand, plastics are on the way. So that'll be a thing that will allow them to get into, potentially, if they want to do it, regular stores. You know what I mean? They got Mr. Beast in Tron Ares. Mr. Beast is in the movie. Oh, good lord. He doesn't have a his face, his eyes specifically are dead. Like he's just, there's no, I just, it's always just like completely dead, and it's really weird. Yeah, that is a bummer. I mean, that's, I guess, just the way that the world's gonna go. Is they're gonna be like, hey, let's make this really kind of interesting kind of thing. Hey, let's put somebody in it for the kids or something. Ugh. Anyway, I played Space Weirdos last weekend and really enjoyed it. Going to work on an Undead Warband. Yeah, Space Weirdos is awesome. I love it. I did just Thursday, Friday, sometime late last week, or late, yeah, I guess it was technically last week. I don't have it within arm's reach. It's in the dining room, but I did get Casey's new game. Casey got a game published through Osprey. Osprey makes these little, I always call them blue books, but it's basically, they're all about 6 inches by 9 inches. They're all 64 pages. They're full color, but it's always like a piece of artwork at the top, and then there's like a blue band across the bottom of the cover that has the name of the title. I mean, like if you think about like Zona Alpha was a blue book. The original Gaslands was a blue book. There's lots of different things. Anyway, this new one is called Void Fighter, I believe, and it's a spaceship combat game. So Casey, who made Space Weirdos and Sword Weirdos, which is the fantasy version, both, yeah, he's got a game published through Osprey, which is super cool. Gundam game from Bandai caught my attention, but I would be more interested in a game for the smaller posable Gundam. From what I know of the Gundam game, just from what I saw at Gen Con and stuff like that, it looks like it's going to be played on a hex grid, which leads me down the road of it's a little bit more board gamey than miniature gamey. And so am almost immediately not particularly interested. The models look good. Like I've got video of the models that because they had a booth at Gen Con and I took a lot of shots, a lot of video and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't think it's gonna be for me. Looking forward to Nine Inch Nails Tron Ares. Was a bit disappointed with the new music video. Looks like an After Effects plugin. Question about Snarling Badger Games, Snarling Badger Studios. Snarling Badger Studios games is, I guess, technically what that use kill team mats. Are they playable on 3x3s? I mean, those are always suggested sizes. You can play whatever game on whatever size you want. Those games, when they get onto a bigger board, become a little bit harder just because, like, here's what I'd tell you to do. I'd tell you to move the deployment zone in a lot more. Because those games, specifically the ones designed for kill team size or Warcry size or whatever, the 22x30, they're designed so that you're in to, engagement sooner. And when you're on a 3 foot by 3 foot, then it's several turns of you just walking towards each other sometimes. Depends on the game. So I would tell you to make your deployment area bigger if you needed to. That's fine too. Or, give yourself extra turns, or there's lots of different options. The reason that Majestic 13 is on 3x3 is because the aliens can move so fast. So that, it made more sense to do it on a bigger board. Good morning from Macomb. My son Alistair says hi. Hi, Alistair. How you doing? Down in the basement doing some painting. Nice. Did you talk to Paul Allen Lindbergh for Team Frog? Yeah, way back in the day. Let's see. It was Gen Con when it was still Milwaukee. Yeah. I haven't seen hide nor hair of him in a long time. If you ever want a good air compressor or a rice cooker, just wait for an Aldi sale. Only reason I remember the Plasmatics is because of Wendy O. Williams. Oh, sure. Yeah. What conventions are local to Orlando? I just moved Florida and a half, so I don't know any. I mean, I don't know Orlando specifically. Although I think that maybe either if you're also into board games, then I know that either Dice Tower or Board Game Geek, one of those two has a show in Orlando, I believe. Greetings from NYC. Played my first kill team tournament yesterday. Got absolutely tabled, but had a blast. Well, that's all that's important, Cool. Retired second time and now getting back into minis after a 10-year hiatus. Have 200 plus minis yet to paint. Nice. They do Christmas before Halloween now? Yeah, in many situations they do. It's a bummer. Any paint bundles you would recommend? I'm sure mine are all dry. Feeling in the mood for painting and playing Warhammer again, I always binge watch your videos when coming back to the hobby. So, do I have it around here? No, I must have. I bet you. Well, no, It was a door prize at TMX. I'm looking around going, where the heck? Because it was sitting in here for a long time. Army Painter makes a starter box that's real nice. I think it retails for about $40 or so. Website. There we go. So the speed paint markers, you can pre-order those now if you want to. There's a nice 3-color introductory set now too. Neat. They've got all these different bundles of all kinds of stuff. They're really pushing hard into selling, make your own bundle and save up to 10% and all that kind of stuff and everything. So that's very cool. But bundles and product sets, maybe that's what I'm looking for. Yes, here it is, the starter. $43.19. I think it maybe did go up a little bit. So for someone who was asking about tariffs earlier, that could be it, because I think it used to be $39.99, and $43.19 sounds specific, doesn't it? So anyway, this is a really good starter set because it gets you pretty much everything you need: black, white, red, blue, green, yellow, brown. You also get some brush on primer. You get some wash, and you even get silver and gold. You also get a free brush. You also get a miniature to paint. So check your local stores. If they sell Army Painter stuff, they probably have this in stock. And if not, they can order it, or you can go and buy it off the website. If you want to buy something off the website and get 5% off your entire order and also help out the YouTube channel here, you can use Factory Uncle 5. So it's Factory Uncle 5. That's all one word. You can use that at checkout and you will get yourself 5% off. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, so there you go. And you get free shipping over orders of $70. So that's something to look at as well. But yeah, I would tell you to look at these, and then maybe after that start, if you're interested, take a look at speed paints, because speed paints are also really, really good. They're just, I don't know. I use them all the time, pretty much on everything. So they work out real nice. Button, main screen. There we go. So anyway. War on Christmas shall continue until Christmas ends its occupation of November. Yeah. The only defense I have heard of early Christmas that makes sense was a friend who had to ship gifts or stuff overseas, but not this early. I mean, gifts are one thing, but like going, like, you know, the whole concept of like all the Christmas decorations and all that stuff that people, I'm like, it's just crazy. Got to get some Gaslands this fall. Ain't rolled dice in anger all summer. Bummer. Live action film, yes, the script isn't great, but the visuals are stunning. They are. I like the Ghost of Shell movie as well. For some reason, it's controversial to like the Benicio del Toro Wolfman. That must be weird. I mean, I don't know if I've ever seen that one all the way through. Let's see here. Record of Lodos War was based off the Japanese D&D called Sword World. Hot take. Akira is boring after the motorcycle race. Just put on Blade Runner instead. I do love me some Blade Runner. Uncle Adam, what is your Ultramat varnish these days? Do you only use Ultramat to protect the Mini? Generally one coat. Yes, and I use, well, maybe two. It depends. I mainly use this stuff from a company in England called Instar, Instar. They have this stuff called Varnish Plus, which is super, super matte, and I really like it. But it's really hard to get, kind of. Like, you basically have to order it directly from them. Anyone can answer my paint bundle question if people have any recommendations. I don't have an airbrush, though. Sure, yeah. Like I said, that starter thing works great, and it's just a great collection of things to start with. And it includes a model to practice on, and it includes a brush. It includes brush on primer, like everything you need right there. But yeah. Let's see here. We watched Battle of the Planets G-Force, but we felt it was a bit lame. Nobody getting killed and all that destruction and conflict. Sure. The band Stereolab got a hold of some of the soundboard outtakes of Casey working Blue. Oh, wow. For the Splizzards, did you airbrush White Zenithal? No. What I did was I primed them black, and then I used a purple color airbrush paint. War Paints Air. Learn more. Alien Purple. 98% sure. Yes, it was Alien Purple. This is this color right here. So I used Alien Purple over the black, and then I used a little bit of Coven Purple. Just like I kind of on the faces to lighten up the faces a little bit, and then on the tails. And if you watch me tomorrow on Twitch at 7 p.m. Central Time, you'll see me start working on these guys. Um, but their tails, I have this these stencils that I bought, these like laser cut plastic stencils that I bought from Adepticon years ago from a company called, I think, Anarchy Models or something like that. And so they have this one that's all just speckles, and so I sort of sprayed speckles on their tails of that lighter Coven purple color. And some of them it worked better than others, but I didn't want to go back and like go, oh well, I'll make them all the same, because I'm like, not everybody has the same spots. You know what I mean? Like some people got less spots, some people got more spots. It's just the way it works. So I don't know, but I think they'll work out nicely. Gonna try a game of 1 hour skirmish rules in a zombie apocalypse. Nice. Where so Emily got a new job? No, she got a second interview, so hopefully she'll get a new job, but we'll see. Let me see here. GW have been on my meh list for a while. Yeah. New Blood Bowl coming. I'm astounded they didn't announce that during Nova. It was so strange that they just didn't announce anything at Nova. Day before Nova, on Tuesday, they're like, oh, by the way, here's an update to Warcry. Just download it, whatever, it's fine. And then a couple days after, they're like, oh, hey, by the way, we're completely redoing, like it's a new edition or third season or whatever of Blood Bowl. And I'm like, you couldn't have mentioned either of these things at Nova? It's just really weird. Let's see. Hellsmiths of Hachette are the copyrightable version of Chaos Tours. Oh, I know. I just don't. They're not interesting. Can confirm, bought the AP metallic speed paints at Nova. They flow amazing. Also, Uncle Adam was kind enough to chat with me and my wife. Well, absolutely. Yeah, the metallics are, yeah, they're spectacular. GW's insistence on Warhammer, or on character miniatures being a diorama, was part of why I'm not going back to Warhammer. Yeah, I get that too. Like, I guess if you're gonna do it, like, why not do both? Like, why not, if you're gonna come up with a new character, make, here's the diorama version for people who like that kind of thing, and here's the version that looks like it's actually in a battle on this board or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, that's always the thing that sort of bothers me about those bigger, like, weird, almost like mini diorama type things. Because I'm like, that's doesn't look like there's a battle going on. I don't know. New Blood Bowl, whole new game, or just another new team? New season. So I don't really know what that means in Blood Bowl terms. I don't know if it's a new edition. Kind of. Missed the Gundam tour in Milwaukee. That could have been fun. Wonder if Bandai is going to show up at in force at Adapticon. That's a good question. I hadn't thought of that. That is a good question. Because they had a big booth at a couple of big booths actually at Gen Con. Laser at his work. Neat. Hello from Athens, Greece. How you doing? Thank you very much. New starter box and updated tires. Probably teams, but it could be tires. I don't know. You know, I'm late with this, but I feel for your mom and your family. Lost both my parents not so long ago after protracted illnesses. I appreciate it. Thank you. Working on some Drop Fleet Commander I picked up at Gen Con. Do you have any advice on how to change your painting approach on spaceship scaled models? For me, when painting spaceships, like the Battlefront Valkyrie stuff, it was really mainly about just airbrush. You know what I mean? Like get a nice fade. And if you can, and if you got some little stencils, maybe a little bit of kind of a speckly kind of look to them, depending on what they look like. I know some of the Drop Fleet stuff can be a little alien looking, and that you could make some speckles and stuff like that. I got like a weird, it's just, the sun is just hitting me just right. But yeah, you want to start with some sort of fade if you can, and then go in and do a little bit of detail, but don't go overboard. I think is a big thing too, especially at that scale. Hello from Cyprus. Saw your video, went live, and it motivated me to continue painting my zombies from Zombicide and undead or alive. Nice. That's always good to hear when something can happen that can you know basically get people motivated. I always like to hear that. Those metal cutting lasers are awesome. Saw a nice batarang the other day, mate. That's pretty cool. Mr. Beast is a CGI construct. Well, I mean, in the real world or in the movie? Just played our first game of Void Fighter last weekend. Good game. Kind of beer and pretzels. Fun. Nice. I like beer and pretzels. I should get into a spaceship game. There's some really nice looking ships from Dropfleet Commander. Sure. Have you tried the new version of Infinity? Not yet. I have, like, literally right here, the Essentials box that I picked up at Gen Con, and it's got 3 JSA and 3 Pano, and it's got some cardboard terrain and like a board, and I think maybe even dice and the whole deal, and it's like $40. It's a really surprisingly good deal if you can find it. That's kind of the problem right now. But I have not yet built them yet and haven't tried playing it yet. But I'm looking towards it eventually, soon, I think. That's part of one of the things I want to work on, is those models and then trying out 5th edition or N5 of Infinity. I'm also working on this board for... I'm making a 3 foot by 3 foot like cyberpunk board, cyberpunk themed. Part of that, you know, that video I did a while ago with the little LED name tags and stuff like that. Some of that's going to get integrated into it. I was talking about that screen and that Raspberry Pi Zero and the battery pack and all that stuff, and how it was a little bit like, I'm not sure. I don't know how I'm going to make this work and all that kind of stuff. Well, as it turns out, you can also just go to Best Buy and buy a smartphone for $40, which is actually 4 times cheaper than what I spent on that amalgamation of like screen and little computer and battery pack and all that jazz. Yeah, you can just buy a smartphone, like an Android smartphone, for $40, and then you can just put videos on it, put VLC on it, play stuff. You could play YouTube video, whatever you want to do. Just knock yourself out. So I'm gonna do that and probably make a video about that. And then, but what I've got to start doing, and we're going to start working on it this week, is I have in Adobe Illustrator, I have the map of what I want to do for my 3 foot by 3 foot board as far as where the streets are going to be. I have that figured out. And I've measured everything and all that kind of stuff, and it should be good. But I want the sidewalks, the curbs, all that stuff. I want all those parts to be 3D printed. So I need to go in and kind of design that bit. And then, you know, print them and then glue them to the 3 foot by 3 foot board, which is going to be the street. So there will be like curbs and like, you know, sidewalks and little, I don't know, all kinds of stuff like that. And I'm looking forward to doing that as well. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. I think it's going to be one of those things that gets built and then gets painted as soon as it becomes spring. I don't know if I'll be able to paint it beforehand. I mean, it's possible if it's a real late fall and still okay for rattle can, I could maybe do it, but we'll see how it goes. I mentioned in that Gen Con booty video some of the different stuff that I brought home from Gen Con, and I mentioned some stuff I brought home from Monster Fight Club. And it was like little scatter terrain for like a cyberpunk city. It's like little park benches and little like garbage cans and a little bit of this and a little bit of that and all that kind of stuff. And it was pretty cool. And then there were all these bollards, which is basically like a bollard is usually like a big metal tube that's filled with concrete that they put on the street so you don't drive down the street, but people can walk past it. It's designed to like stop cars. I know over in like London and stuff like that, they have bollards that can go up and down like in the street, you know, so the street can be open and then the street's closed or whatever. And I said in the video, I want to get more of these bollards. These are pretty cool. And then Audrey from Monster Fight Club sent me a package and a big old bag of bollards. So I've got plenty of bollards now. There's got to be, I don't know, 3 or 4 dozen bollards in here. So I'm all set. So that was very nice. Actually, she was at Nova, so I was able to thank her in person. Models are not posable. Oh, the Bandai Gundam game. Yeah, no, they're one position or whatever. Game board sizes are always weird. In Alpha Strike, I prefer a way larger one just to make long range more useful. Makes sense. We play on 72 by 48 inch board we use for everything. Just scale terrain to the game played. Gotcha. Dice Tower East is in Orlando. That's what I thought. Orlando has Crucible and QuestCon coming up in September. Nice. I use vinyl matting covered with caulking and treated with basing per specific game. Oh yeah, for you making your. I get you. Yeah. I only have one incomplete model to finish painting. Nice. Looking forward to recruiting more indie and model agnostic games for Adepticon 2026. Yeah, I would like to see that as well. Absolutely. Hey Hank, how you doing? The Grimdark Alley, like that whole area over there was great, and I really enjoyed it. I love what the Hive Scum guys are doing for the industry. Well, for the hobby, let's say that. And yeah, I'd like to see more of that kind of stuff over there too. There's a part of me that's like, oh yeah, me and Vince should do another event and run like a thing like we did with Tanks for the Apocalypse. But it's a lot of work though. We'll see. We've got a new game coming out. Well, a new micro game coming out in the next episode or issue. I always get episode and issue mixed up. I'll talk about issues of the podcast and episodes of the zine, and I'm just anyway. In the next issue of the zine, we're gonna have a new micro game in there, which we announced at Nova. Vince and I did a talk at Nova about game design and stuff like that, and we announced what the new game is at Nova. So if you're interested, I'm just saying, tomorrow, the next episode, got it right, the next episode of the Snarlcast is actually going to be from Nova. We recorded our talk at Nova and the Q&A and all that fun stuff. And so on YouTube, it will actually be a video because I shot it on my phone and we had little wireless mic things on each of us. And, and so if you watch it on YouTube, you'll actually be able to see us. We don't do anything except just talk and move around a little bit, but there's no visual aspect to it otherwise. Or if you just want to listen to it, that's fine too. That'll also be a normal audio copy as well. But yeah, so that's coming out tomorrow morning at like 8 a.m. Central. And then you'll be able to find out what the new game is. Made my own speed paint markers with the empty acrylic markers from Amazon and filled them with speed paints with a few Pro Curl transparents, and they're awesome. Nice. I play Alpha Strike on a 3x3 mat, and we use half-scale variant rules, so all move and range is halved. Gotcha. Only stuff I build nowadays is scratch-built terrain. Have you ever used, what's it called? Sintra? I think it's called Sintra. Sintra. It is this like... It seems like it's plastic. It's like a super hard foam, and people like evidently like if you watch enough tested with Adam Savage on YouTube, eventually he starts talking about it, especially if he's making something like a lot of stuff that was scratch built X-Wings and all that kind of stuff from the movies and all that jazz. A lot of that initial, like a lot of it is Sintra. It's this plastic that's very easy to cut, but it's still very sturdy. Basically, you kind of score it and pop it, one of those sort of things. I can't ever find it in any local stores anywhere, obviously, but I can order it off of Amazon. And it works really, really well for scratch building terrain, I think. For Florida gaming cons, there's also Skirmish Con in February. That's pretty cool. Skirmish Con. I mean, that just sounds like it's up my alley, to be perfectly honest with you. Been using more of the Army Painter washes and the effects. I love the rust effects. I use them constantly. Brush on primer has been more useful than I have thought, either for patching misses or things like bases for WizKids. Oh, sure, yeah, absolutely. Recently working on a film in Budapest. Rather than taking paints, I brought that Fanatic starter when I was there. It was an excellent paint set. Nice, nice. JJ also recommended me that direction. Factory Uncle 5. Yep, there you go. Greetings from Sydney. Watching while painting dwarves. Purchased from Etsy. And all the best to you and your mother. Well, I appreciate that. Wolfman movie isn't that bad. I should watch it. I really ought to. Started making my own foam flock. It's addictive. Interesting. If you're making Xmas decorations, then now is the time to pick up the supplies. I mean, maybe. I could see that. BattleBrush Studios, how you doing? Record of Lodos was based off of actual D&D, but TSR turned them down for official brand licensing. Well, let's see here. There we go. That was my thing with Akira. It's right up to the biker fight, and then it went off a cliff. Blasted Samoflage, Flange. How you doing? Working on a scatter version of some FDM crystal terrain pieces. Nice. Any plans on making some vids about your cyberpunk terrain painting? I know you've said your tutorials don't do well, but I like them. Well, I appreciate that. Maybe. Like, I have 4 FDM. No, not FDM. MDF. See, FDM and MDF, it's like the same letters. Anyway, I have 4 MDF buildings, which I built this summer and then primed black, and they're sitting in my airbrush room, and I'm like basically I want to paint them gray, because buildings are generally gray, right? Except that they're not, but they are, but they're not blue, but sometimes they are, and they're not red, except that sometimes they, you know what I mean? Like, I always feel like I want to go with, like, if you look at most buildings, like if you go into Google Maps or Google Earth and you look at most cities, most buildings are either some sort of brown or some sort of gray. You know what I mean? So anyway, I just need to figure out colors, and then I do want to do those buildings because, like I said, they're sitting in my airbrush room. Actually, there's several primed projects sitting in my airbrush room needing some work. How do you get credit for ad revenue? If we skip the ad, does it still count for content creators? I have no idea. And I would tell you to skip the ad. When the ad pops up and says, hey, would you, first of all, is it putting ads in the middle of the video? Because it shouldn't be doing that. That's weird. Because I tell it, I'll put in the ads, thank you. And then but so let me know. Twisting wire to make trees is my latest project for terrain. Nice. Anyone have airbrush recommendations? Never used one, but I'll look into them more. If you go onto Amazon, because I don't know if you can get it anywhere else. I don't know if it's something you get at a local store, maybe. But if you go onto Amazon, there's a brand called Masters, usually Masters Airbrush, and they are pretty reasonably priced and fine. Pretty nice for starting out, and you can get a like a compressor and a brush kit for not very much money. I think I have a store on Amazon. Well, I do have a store on Amazon. Tabletop Minions Amazon store. Do I have the airbrush compressor thing in there? Come on. Well, so for $50, you can get this thing, which is like a cordless compressor thingy, and then a brush. Now, I'll be honest with you, this airbrush didn't work super great for me. So I just put my regular brush on top of it when I started using it and everything like that. But maybe it'd work better for you. The wireless compressor is honestly kind of the nice part in that situation, especially if you're traveling and you want to do some airbrushing while you travel. But yeah, I thought I had another. Well, maybe they got rid of it. I used to have, I swear, in here there was a airbrush set that was not as, that was like not as cheap as that one for $50. It had like a normal thing you plug into the wall, kind of compressor and all that kind of stuff. But I would tell you to look for Masters, Masters, airbrush, like on Amazon, and you can find some good sets that way. I don't have any Sintra on here, do I? No, I should put some Sintra in here. I do have the pink foam stuff, which is nice, but yeah, I should look at this more frequently, I suppose. Anyway, Iwata Neo is a great and affordable starter model. It is, yeah. I would say so. There was a Warcry update. Yeah, technically. Where was it? No, a little bit further back. Come on. Massive Warcry update paves the way for the Hellsmiths of Hashut. Right there you go. So yeah, it's back on the 26th of August. There was this thing, and it's has prepared a massive update. Okay, cool. So there's points updates, rules updates, and new units. So it's like they've come up with new models recently, and so they've given a bunch of them, stats and stuff like that. And you just click downloads, and boom, there you go. So there's a whole bunch of evidently stuff in there, but it's just a free download. Like they didn't come up with a new edition. They didn't go, oh, here's some stuff. They didn't just ignore it. They just a couple days before Nova, they just were like, oh, here's a download. You can check that out. It's just the weirdest thing. I don't understand what's going on, but whatever. What are these speed paints compared to regular? So speed paints are transparent. So the idea, and they have a tendency to kind of soak into the crevices a little bit more than they do in the flat areas. So they have a tendency to get darker in the crevices, and it kind of pops and adds detail. They're just kind of a faster way to paint, but they are transparent. So you have to kind of keep track of that. You can't like layer this one on top of that one and expect this one to cover the other one, and because they're transparent. If you've ever heard of like contrast paints from Games Workshop, they're kind of like contrast paints. They're just in much better containers because they're in dropper bottles instead of pots that you spill all the time. Not that I've ever done that, except I have. And they don't dry out as fast because the pots, and it's just better material, and I like the color schemes, the color better. And of course, there's metallic speed paints, and there's not metallic contrast paints, which I think is funny. The evening with Games Workshop was one of the most bizarre non-events I've ever attended. I know, right? It was so weird. Like, normally what happens when you go to Nova is on Wednesday night, at most conventions, LVO, Adepticon, all these different conventions, you go there, GW has a thing, and what they used to do is they'd have a couple people from England who'd be talking about the new thing, and then they got a screen, and they click, and they're like, hey, look at this, and it would be like a bunch of pictures of the new miniatures, and they would be like on a white to light blue fade background, and you could see the silhouette and understand it and go, oh, well, those are really cool. I want to buy some of those. Then they started going, well, what if we produce these videos about the stuff, and we'll show those first to get people pumped, and then we'll talk about them a little bit and show them actual pictures and stuff like that. Also, fine, whatever. Then they started doing some really weird crap. About 2 years ago at Adepticon, they played a hour and 15-minute movie that was just one long video, and it was just like some dude and then some designers talking about some stuff, and then they would show some footage, and it would always be like, do I have a miniature? I don't have a miniature here on the desk. Let's say that this battery doohickey was a miniature, right? Like normally you'd be like, okay, here's a picture of it, you can see what it is, oh, that's great, cool. The video that they were doing, instead of doing that, they would do these, it would be really close to the camera, it would be in focus, but it would be really close to the camera, and there'd be like colored lights coming in a smoke machine, and they would be like, wow, and they would like spin it and move it and speed ramp and all this stuff, and I just want to see the miniatures, man. Can we just see those miniatures? Anyway, And then they did some. They've basically been trying to throw stuff at the wall to see what sticks. And then this year at Innova, they were just like, "Hey, I got an idea. Let's have a Space Marine 2 tournament. Let's have paint and take. I think there was supposed to be a beer tasting. There was a trivia contest. There was a Q&A. It was just like a bunch of things all going on in this big room sort of at once and people kind of milling around, and they didn't announce anything. So then me and Vince, because Vince always does his live show, Warhammer Weekly, on Wednesdays, and whenever we go to a show, he always does a react to what we just saw, for the preview, and he usually does that. And then he'll be like, "Hey, do you want to come up?" Or John or Sam or whoever's there and whatever. Sometimes Scott. And it was me and Sam and Ninjon and Vince, and we were sitting in Vince's room, and we I don't know, we started talking about other stuff. Like there was nothing to talk about, really. We talked about what happened at the thing. Nothing was announced. I forget what we started getting into, but we started talking about something completely separate. Maybe Warcry. I don't know. It was weird. It was a very strange thing this year where they were just like, let's not announce anything at the announcement thing. It was really odd. Anywho, Warcry was the only system still worth playing, in my opinion, so I'll have to check that out. I know Tabletop Minions was predicting it was dead there for a while. It certainly seemed like it was, and it still kind of sort of does. Like, the fact that they don't seem to be making anything new for it specifically, the fact that on the website it still says online only, unless they changed that. I don't think they did. Shop online at warhammer.com. Age of Snow. More. I click on more over here, and I go to other games, and then I go here, and it says Warcry online only. Doesn't say that anywhere else. Deptus Titanicus that doesn't even say online only, and that basically got turned into Legions Imperialis, basically, kinda, sorta, right? I think. Anyway, yeah, Warcry online only, and if you go in there, everything in here just says online only, and I mean, it's sort of odd, and there's not that much left. You know what I mean? It's just odd, very odd. Anyway, well, we'll see what happens. I hope that it does. I hope that it's awesome, and that maybe they just keep supporting it with downloads and just let people run with it. That'd be cool too. That's fine. I got no problem with that. I think they're calling it 3rd edition of Blood Bowl. I keep seeing it mentioned as 3rd season, and I don't know if seasons are supposed to be editions. I'm not sure. Gilbert, Arizona, blessing for you and Mom. Absolutely, I appreciate that. Are they similar to base coat paints but dry faster? Oh no, they're, like I said, they're transparent. Do both, like the Wargames Atlantic Sharp kit that's coming. Game piece with 2 heads and all their posing options, and a separate scale monopose diorama piece. Oh yeah, that's a cool idea. They love to give you extra stuff over there at Wargames Atlantic. They're like, hey, this box, it's got 24 guys in it. It's got 300 heads. Well, not 300, but 200, I think. There's definitely one kit that they do that I think has 200 heads in the box. Not 200 different ones, but still, it's a lot of heads. New edition of Blood Bowl will tweak 1 or 2 minor rules brought in a passing stat last edition. Nothing drastic, but biggest thing is having all the newer teams in one rule book. Well, that'd be nice, yeah. GW does love to sell you more books. If I were to get the most wanted set, any not included colors I might want, besides things like washes. The most wanted set, shop, bundles. Is it the most wanted set that doesn't, or does it? So the most wanted set does not have black or white, and that's by design. The idea is that if you bought the most wanted set and the mega set, you would have no overlap. So if it were me, I would look at maybe getting the most wanted set, poke right there, take a look at the most wanted set and the starter set, because then the starter set's going to give you black and white and regular red and regular yellow and regular green and regular blue and brown. And then this is going to give you a bunch of other stuff. And I don't think there's anything that is, other than maybe brush on primer, which you can always use more brush on primer. Yeah, see, they have the same brush on primer, but I don't think you're going to be getting anything else that's a duplicate. I could be wrong, but I would take a look at that. If you get the most wanted set and the starter set, you'll have a great combination of stuff, because like I said, this doesn't come with black or white specifically. And then, you know, so yeah, that might be a good idea. Soup can water tower. Nice. I just want to be able to sit down and start and not realize I'm missing something. Sure. Those new Tomb King Blood Bowl models will look nice on the table when they get Blitz Bowl rules. Nice. Infinity models are itching to be on the paint table. Well, I got to build them first, and that's going to be maybe a thing. We'll see how it goes. Why do those made-to-order GW models always tempt me? I don't know. That's a good question. Love your channel. Have you received any Trench Crusade models? I'm hearing mixed reviews. You mean like plastics? I haven't received any plastics yet, but I've already built and painted a force for Trench Pilgrims. I love the models. And I'm going to be doing probably Black Grail, Cult of the Black Grail. Those are probably going to be my second group that I'm going to work on. But I need to kind of learn a little bit about digital kit bashing first, because some of them I want to give them weapons. Like they don't have weapons, and I think it would just be easier to 3D print them with weapons versus, you know, just be like print the weapons separately and then try to glue them into their hands and stuff. So yeah. But yeah, no, I've really liked all the models. I haven't printed any of the terrain yet. I also did the terrain set for like trenches and stuff, and I haven't printed any of that yet, but I'm potentially going to. I don't want to get real, honestly, I don't want to do a lot of trench terrain for Trench Crusade. It's kind of interesting just because it's sort of a little bit harder to like store to some degree, but let's see here. I actually have all the express colors. Oh, that's Vallejo, I think. Yeah. Waiting to get my painting mojo back, and once I get my eye back on, I'm finally planning to paint my original Hero Quest set. Nice. Sintra is PVC foam, very stiff, non-warping. Interesting. I knew it was some sort of foam, but didn't seem like a foam. But a PVC foam is interesting. Have you heard about the Zompok rules Kickstarter based on Forbidden Psalm? No, I haven't. Huh, interesting. I mainly use blue and pink foam board. I have green and pink. I don't think I have any blue. I did a 7-hour marathon for a skirmish warband that was 90 to 95% speed paints and washes. Then I used rust effects to knock out some scrap pile for that game in an hour. They work great. Yeah, I like them. I really like the tutorial videos that I've been painting for decades. They are a good reinforcement of what I do. I like to watch tutorial videos as well. I enjoy watching them because there's almost always something I'm going to learn from them. Even if it's like a beginner thing, there might be something, and all of a sudden I'll be like, oh, geez, I never thought about it that way. You know what I mean? Looking for a good black paint to paint my rims. Whenever I use so far, it took 2 or 3 passes to be completely black. Here's how I do it. And someone just asked about it recently, Friday on Twitch. The way I do my rims is I use Army Painter Matte Black, which is a Fanatic paint, which is one of their, their opaque paints, their normal paint line. And I will do a layer around the rim. And then once it completely dries, then I go back and I do another layer, but not with matte black. I will instead use Grim Black, which is a black speed paint. The reason I like to put that speed paint over, like you're basically putting a transparent paint over black, except it's a black transparent paint that's not that transparent. But I like the overall finish when you do speed paint, because later on I'm going to matte varnish it anyway or whatever, but it just, I don't know, it like kind of smooths out any little micro bumps that you might have from brush strokes from the paintbrush or something like that. It just makes the rims look really good. So yeah, I do the matte, black matte, and then the other one. Plumber's putty is an alternative thing if you can't get green stuff. True. So the live stream is doing midstream ads, because I swear I told it to not do that. It said I'll push the button and do some midstream ads. Thank you. Don't do it automatically. I'll do it manually, and I've got it set for that. So I think it's interesting if it's throwing in some midstream ads. Are they like, do they make it so you can't hear what's going on in the video, or do they pause the video, or do they do it next to the video? I've seen that. I know Vince had a video recently I was watching, and then like the window got smaller and you could still hear him, but there was another video over in this window doing, whatever kind of dog and pony show. Like if there's ads around the window but you can still see it and stuff like that, that I guess doesn't surprise me. But like there's evidently a button I can somehow push that'll make the ads happen. I can be like, hey, let's watch an ad. Like I'm going to do that. You know what I mean? Weird. Ads are replacing the chat, then you have to hit X. Oh. Well, that's not terrible, because at least then you're not, like, that's the thing that drives me nuts about Twitch ads, is that all of a sudden, like, just, you'll get a picture up in a little corner and you won't be able to hear it anymore, and now you're watching an ad about, I don't know, Viagra or some junk like that, or, or what's that, the skinny pills, not pills, it's an injection. Wegovy? Anyway, whatever. As a game developer, what are your expectations of new players trying to learn your solo games? Read the PDF multiple times, read it once, and then play. So I have a tendency, personally, on any game that I do, I read it, then I try to play it, stumble through it, and then I go back and I read again, and then it makes so much more sense that second pass. It's just always been that way for me, no matter what the game is, whether it's solo or whether I'm going to be playing with friends or whatever. I read it, I go, I don't quite get it. And then you just do you just kind of run through it and stumble through and go back and refer to things. But then once you get that game, or maybe even two done, when you then go back and go, I'm going to read it again, all of a sudden it just makes so much more sense. We also try to always do a battle report. Vince usually creates a battle report that we put up too, so that can help to kind of learn the game a little bit too. If you're using static grass on a base, what do you paint underneath it? Man, I just hate static grass, so I don't ever actually do it. The last time I did static grass actually was I painted a Blitz Bowl team 7 years ago, maybe more. But yeah, I just don't like to use static grass myself. I got something similar at Wonderfest from Spray Gunner. It was $80. Spray Gunner was at Nova. Yeah, spraygunner.com. They were at Nova. Morning from Albuquerque, continuing to work on Sunrot minis and a 2-foot round terrain board for it, and eventually for 1490 Doom. Nice. I was wearing my 1490 Doom t-shirt last night at the show, and my copy of Sunrot should, in theory, be showing up today. So Hobbyist Haven has a D-Spay wash-free airbrush. It's an external mix with a reservoir that lends itself to hobby painting. There's cheaper, but I have this smaller reservoir, no compressor though. I don't know what that means. DSPEIA. Wash-free airbrush. Bought the master set years ago, replaced the brush, but the compressor is still growing strong. Yeah, that's the nice part. You know what I mean? You can do that. GW seems to love guerrilla marketing done by actual guerrillas. Well, very potentially. I think it's just interesting that, like, they're the biggest company in the industry, and they're just like, unless they have numbers that show that people didn't care when they were like showing you new product. I don't know. It's just very strange. Like the whole concept of like if you're going to go to a show and you're like, we're not getting a good return on investment on this, event that we do on Wednesday night, then just stop doing the event. But to go, we're going to do the event on Wednesday night, but we're not even going to talk about anything that's coming out, that just seems dumb. It doesn't make any sense. They also had they had two painters sitting there like painting models that aren't out yet. It was Ninjon and it was Eric Swinson. And they were both sitting there and they had like a little camera like pointing at what they were painting and stuff like that. But it wasn't being live streamed, I don't think. It was just on a TV like nearby so you could see it better. I don't know. It was odd. It's very odd. Let's see here. Thought Engine, have a good night. Absolutely. Have you ever painted minis that have been primed silver? How did it go? I have done that, but I've done it with speed paints. So I did years ago, I painted like Iron Man from not Marvel Crisis Protocol, but the other one, the little chibi Iron Man. And I primed him black and then dry brushed him silver. And then basically used red and like yellow speed paints to do like the metallic red and the metallic like gold, and it worked out great. So yeah. I can't finish a GW edition before the next one. It happens every time. Yep, that is part of the problem. It's a big part of the problem, to be honest with you. Yeah, I strongly believe that they should switch to a 5-year model, but I know that they won't. The Wargames Atlantic zombie set has 75 heads per sprue, 5 sprues in a box. See, that's a lot of heads. You got plenty of kit bashing, to come out of those boxes. Silver does work for mostly armored minis, then use speed paints over the top. Yep, I like the speed paint stuff because it makes a nice metallic kind of thing. Any chance we could see any more content from Majestic 13 or Space Station Zero in the future? I mean, potentially we would see something in an episode issue, in an issue of Snarl. I don't remember what we're putting in. I mean, the micro game that's going in Snarl, I'm very familiar with that. But I think we're only putting in one thing, one like little add-on for one of our previous games, and I don't think it's either of those. I wonder if nothing was announced at Nova because of all the leaks. Somebody told me, I think in the stream on Friday, that they'd heard that Horus Heresy was going to be announced at Nova originally, but then there were leaks and then they had to release it early. That doesn't sound right. Just because, like, they're such a big company, I don't think they could easily just be like, well, I guess we'll have to release the game a month and a half early. That they don't move that quick, I don't think, but I could be wrong. Gonna have to disappear and get ready for game tonight, but just wanted to send my best wishes to you. I appreciate that. Got to bounce and help get my dad out of retirement home for my folks' anniversary. Nice. Any plans to jump on the current YouTuber fad of hobby essentials videos? I don't even know if I know what those are. The thing is the reason that videos where you talk about specific products, the reason you see them pop up is because they always do well. It's just all like people watch those videos. People are like, oh, okay, yeah. If you make a video about like, hey, here's a tutorial on how to do a thing, and you make another video that is like, hey, here's some things you can buy, this one's always going to be the banger. It's just the way it works. It's the way that the hobby works. Try the new Monument Hobbies acrylic paint in a tube. Very easy to get, one coat opaque. I have the Monument Hobbies like fine basing stuff that they put in a tube now. I'm not sure if I like it in the tube or not, but I do believe that it will probably be less likely to dry out like it did in the pot. So I get that. I get the reasoning behind it, and it'll hopefully not, but I'm still a little dubious about the tube. I am tube dubious. Just started doing the matte black and grim black this past couple of weeks. It works so good. I made a video about it, but it was back before speed paints, I think. I made a video because I used to do like whatever GW black and then like Black Templar, Black Legion, and whatever Combat Patrol. But it just works, not Combat Patrol, Contrast. It just works well, you know what I mean? Ignatius from Tabletop Alchemy did a video about Sintra since he had a similar Hollywood modeling job that Adam Savage had. He really goes into the depth of using it. That's cool. Nice. Yeah, I've used it for some kit bashing because I saw what's his name talk about it, Adam Savage, and I was like, it works real nice. They block the chat. Weird. Pops up over the chat. Well, at least that's not the, it's not the other third. Haven't had any ads since joining the stream. Pay for YouTube Premium to save sanity from ads. I mean, I got to be honest. Yeah, we have YouTube Premium, and it is real nice. Ozempic. That was the word I was looking for. I always forget Ozempic. Make note not to patronize those services or products. Gotcha. As a Drakari player, the 3-year model is scaring me. I don't want to only have my codex for 4 months. That's the other problem. Besides the fact that a lot of people are like, I can't get an army painted in that amount of time. There's always like somebody who's like, I think last cycle it was maybe the Guard that got a book like right towards the end, and they got to use that book for 3 months, and then and I'm like, you guys got to cut that out. Now, here's the deal. My belief is that 11th edition, which is coming out in less than a year, 11th edition will come out, and you know how in 10th edition when it came out, then they had the index cards and everybody got a completely new, thing. I have a very strong belief that when 11th edition comes out, they won't do index cards. Instead, you'll still be able to use the old codices, and then the new Space Marines will come out, and then whatever, and then they'll just keep going like that, and those will replace it. And then when 12th edition comes out, it'll be a total rip off the Band-Aid, and here's a bunch of indexes again, or indices. I really do believe they're on a 2-year cycle now, or sorry, a two edition cycle where, because if you go back and look, 8th edition, they were like, look, let's just get rid of all these codexes, and we're going to give you these index books that you can buy. And then as we go forward, one army at a time, we'll replace these over the next 3 years or whatever. And then, so that was 8th edition, but then 9th edition, they didn't do that again. They just kept using the codices and would go through and replace them as they went through 9th. And then when 10th came along, okay, good. Well, now we're doing indexes again, but now they were free downloads at least, instead of having to buy those like $25 and $35 books. So that was at least nice. But you could buy the cards if you wanted the cards or whatever, all that kind of stuff. And so my point is I don't think they're going to do it in 11th, but they will do it again in 12th. So I think that they're on a 6-year cycle for completely throw everything out and start over again as far as the codices are concerned. But on the in-betweens, the odd numbers, 9, 11, 13, whatever, you won't see that. I hope I'm wrong, but I don't think I am. And I think they're going to be doing the exact same thing with Age of Sigmar now at this point. Because 4th edition, basically, they just tore it all down and were like, here's a bunch of new, indices for free. And I bet they'll do that again on 6th edition. So it'll be interesting to see if I'm right. I'd be glad if I weren't. When is Majestic 14 coming out? Ooh. That's not a thing, but but our next, like I said, Snarl 2025 is coming out in early November, and that's going to have a micro game in it, and it's going to be cool. And then our next like normal like big game is coming out in the spring, probably late May, like we usually do. And we're just going to keep on doing it. I wouldn't mind a 5-year edition release schedule if they continued to release new models multiple times throughout the edition. If only new models once every 5 years, I would be sad. Or if they just kept stuff in stock. I mean, there's that possibility too. That'd be nice. With 17 armies, God, I feel like it's more, isn't it? Anyway, GW should be able to keep selling minis with a stable rule set that they could retain customers with a periodic refresh, but the 3-year cycle is off-putting. It is definitely off-putting. Yeah, no, I agree. Like that, the reason they do it, like everybody, not everybody, most other people can stick to less than a 3-year cycle and they're fine with it, but also they're not selling books usually. I mean, they will sell you a book in many situations, but they're also like, yeah, but you could just download it. Here's a free download. We want you to buy more models. And GW is like, we want you to buy more models, but we also want you to buy more books. So we got to keep doing it this way, which is wrong. I mean, it works currently, except that it drives people away. So I don't know that it'll work forever. I'm not premium, and the only place I see ads are when a window expands above the chat window, pushing the chat window down doesn't interrupt the show in any way. Well, that's good. Because like I said, there's like a button that I can set when I'm setting up the whole thing that says, oh, we'll just slip in some ads, you know, willy-nilly from time to time at the worst possible moment. Or would you like to push the button yourself to put in the ads? And I would like to push the button myself and then not push it. I don't even know where that button is, frankly. Maybe it's over here. Yep, I don't see a button. Oh, there's a thing. Focus on your live stream and let YouTube insert ads for you. Turn on or dismiss. Dismiss. Anyway. Ivan Sorensen released a game called Rogue Hammer, which is very much Rogue Trader and 2nd edition 40k, but with a Nordic Weasel spin on it. Nice. Got a Raven Guard Codex, and they swapped editions not long after. Yeah. New editions also make me feel old. Cannot believe 10th was 3 years ago. I know. It seemed like until 6th edition, it was a 5-year cycle. Oh, yeah. Back in the day, you were like, it was 5 or more years. It was yeah. And also back in the day, they released like 2, maybe 3 40k codices a year. And you'd be like, come on, I hope this is my year and my army gets a new codex. And then they wouldn't. I've heard rumors that 10th is going to be more like, or 11th is going to be more like a 10.5. That doesn't surprise me. I mean, they don't really change stuff much. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I'm going to be impressed is when they come up with a new edition that changes the way that, I don't know, activation works, or changes the way that initiative works, you know, where you start off and you both roll off and go, oh, I guess I get to go first. Cool. And then you know, like if they actually did anything specific other than just like wiggle some numbers around a little bit, like the fact that it's still I get to do my entire army and then you have to sit there and wait, and then eventually you get to do your entire army and then I get to wait. Like the fact that that's still how they play their game, drives me nuts. But they're never going to change that. So I would tell you that I think that most of the editions that they keep putting out every 3 years are like a 0.5 update. Like, going from 7th to 8th was a pretty big jump. That was a big change. But since 8th, everything, in my opinion, has been a little bit incremental. What about Warhammer 50k? Well, that's a good question. Stopped caring after 2nd edition Age of Sigmar and 8th edition 40k. Too many other great games out there to play. That like rhymed, dude. That was neat. I was this close to getting into Age of Sigmar, but want nothing to do with GW other than to paint some of their minis. Sure. Saying hello from the clouds, flying for work this weekend. Neato. Talking to somebody in an airplane. It's an amazing time to be alive. Time to go run my Pathfinder game. See you kids later. Nice. I know I know from other YouTubers that if you choose to insert ads yourself and then don't do anything, YouTube will then add their own instead anyways. I wish that they would let us do what we want. That'd be great. Here's the thing too, is that when you watch a recording of this, so I get done with the show in about another 10 minutes, which is 11 a.m. my time. And then at noon, we go to my wife's for generally for lunch. Not always, though, but sometimes we do. So sometimes I'm like waiting and waiting and waiting before we go to see if YouTube gets its job done and like finishes whatever machinations have to happen to make it so that the video is like ready to go. People can watch the rerun, the VOD, as it were, the video on demand. Because I need to go in then and fix the ads because they will put in an ad spot every 2 minutes. So you're watching a 2-hour thing, and every 2 minutes it's jumping to an ad. And you can see it when you look at it. It'll just be like dot 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 dot, all little ad marker things in the 2-hour time stream. So you go through, and I try to make it so like it's like an ad every 15 minutes, and that's a little bit more, you know, something. But yeah, I have to go in and do it manually. But the thing is that like if by the time we go to lunch, if it hasn't happened yet, then I'll come home and then it'll be like comments from people are like, geez, there's so many ads, and I can't, you know, so. YouTube and the live streaming. That's one of the reasons that Twitch still exists, is because YouTube, they're getting better with live streaming. They're doing more stuff, but there's still some things that they mess up pretty hard, I think. So we'll see. Sail Power has been around for 20 years now, and we're just now talking about doing a 3rd edition, which is necessary only because of more research and an updated exploration mechanic and more treasure. I think if you're going to like add stuff, you know, like more gameplay than doing another edition is fine. In a perfect world, it would be some sort of add-on rather than having to make it so that people need to buy a new book or change rules. Like if it was a deal like, here's the rules, we like the rules, and now here's an add-on, and then you can still use this book, which we still make, but you can also have this add-on, which then also adds, you know, new stuff. That, in my mind, that's like a perfect world, but, you know. Is Combat Patrol worth playing? I've heard both good and bad, but more bad than good. So me and Sam were playing Combat Patrol towards the beginning of 10th, a good deal. And I have 4.5 finished Combat Patrols, which, I mean, technically it's 4 finished Combat Patrols and 1.5 finished Combat Patrol, but you see what I'm saying. I have Space Marines from the Leviathan box. Those guys are done. I have Necrons, I have Imperial Guard, I have Death Watch, and the Combat Patrol that's not finished is the original Dark Angels Death Watch, or sorry, Combat Patrol, which had a Redemptor Dreadnought in it, and like 5 Primaris dudes, and like a boss of some sort, and like maybe 3 jump pack guys, suppressors maybe. That's about it. So yeah, I don't know. I don't, since they've changed things so much, I feel like it's less good, but it is still a good way to start if you do want to go down that road. Like if you were like, I want to get into 40K, what should I do? I would still tell you to do Combat Patrol because it's a good way to start. And the benefit is that you're using the regular 40K rules. It's not like Kill Team where you're using these weird rules that don't have anything to do with the 40K rules. You're playing regular 40K. You're just playing in a smaller group. Now, if you're super competitive and you're like, but everything has to be equal and balanced, it's not. Yeah, there's definitely some teams that are like completely outmatched and whatever, and that's fine. I can tell that what they're doing is as they go forward and they add in new Combat Patrols, they all get much more just troops. You know what I mean? Like some of the earlier ones were really interesting because they had like some, you know, like the Orc one had like a Killacan in it maybe, or maybe a couple of Killacans, or it had just cool stuff. It was like a really cool kind of smattering of things, and so was a lot of the additions. And then when the new version of these Combat Patrols comes out, usually with the new codex, it's just like, oh, hey, look, it's just 20 troops, you know, or 25 troops. It's just regular dudes. And that to me is less interesting, but maybe more from a modeling standpoint, but even from a gaming standpoint. So I don't know. Spearhead is really, I see a lot of people enjoying Spearhead. And I wonder if when 11th edition comes out, if they're not going to make Combat Patrol into something a little bit more like Spearhead. But I wonder if they're going to have to come with all new, you know, box sets to do that. I'm not sure. That's going to be a good question. So I don't know. We'll see how that goes. Let's see. Thanks for recommending Stargrave minis. Bought 2 boxes to paint, but was surprised how much smaller they are than GW or even 28 millimeter. Are Anvil minis romantic small as well? So I don't think they're a ton smaller personally, but they are not exact. Well, they're definitely smaller than GW because GW keeps just blowing up their sizes. Everybody's getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. But in comparison to a lot of other companies like Mantic and other stuff like that, I would say that these guys are a little bit closer. So yeah. I've noticed that your regular videos, your ad breaks don't line up. I don't mind, but I do notice it. Yeah, and they were for a while because I leave those little like 1.5 second little spots. And then for quite a while, they were like putting them in those spots like they should. And now, like just recently, I noticed, like I went back and I looked after it said, oh, here's where we're going to put the spots. I'm like, those aren't the spots I left behind. And I tried to fix them. And then, yeah, I don't know, man. YouTube and their, like I don't even know why we bother uploading stuff. They just want to show people ads, really, is what it is. Like having to show me talking and yammering and flapping my gums at you, that really takes away from the ad time, you know, and that's really the most important bit. So, can anyone confirm if liquid green stuff is useful for adding muscles to 2 skinny miniatures, adding just a paintbrush? I'm going to say no, probably not. Here's why. Liquid green stuff is basically only good for one thing. It's one of my most popular videos from way back in the day. It's good for adding texture to miniatures. But what it was originally designed for, gap filling and sculpting and stuff like that, it is kind of terrible at. Because what happens is when you spread it onto something, when it dries, it shrinks. So if you're going to try to build up a cool muscle or something on a guy with liquid green stuff and be like, yeah, that's exactly what I want, it's going to dry and go, and we get real small. It doesn't like shrink this way. It shrinks like, it gets less. If you're looking at the liquid green stuff that you put on the surface, if you put it on this thick, when it dries, it'll be this thick, right? So it's fine for making texture. If you stipple it on, you can make a really cool texture with it. But otherwise, liquid green stuff is not good for filling gaps and things like that. And it's not good for sculpting. In that situation, you'd be better with just regular old green stuff. House rules, we alternate instead of whole army and wait. Yeah, it does work, you know. Have you spoken with your partner manager about the ads? I don't know that I have a partner manager. I mean, I probably do, but they've never reached out. So, Norgo Matthew, how you doing? Honestly, from my experience, YouTube seems to have heavily ramped up the amount of ads lately. Well, yeah, because the line must go up in all situations. So yeah, that's every big corporation is just like, nope, we got to squeeze more blood out of that turnip. My biggest gripe is when YouTube puts ads on a live stream, or even the VOD, but it doesn't pause the stream. I hate having to keep backing up. Yeah, I mean that's what happens with Twitch. Like, you know, you'll be talking or playing a game or painting or whatever and stuff, and then an ad will start, and then you just miss all that stuff. You know what I mean? I wish YouTube had a good way to do a charity stream. Twitch has a button, and it's terrific. Yeah, but Twitch does do a charity better than YouTube. That's true. Latest combat patrols have been bland. Yeah, exactly. They're just all troops. Any plans for your North Star automatons? I kind of want to make a video comparing them to the servitors from that Kill Team box. Typhon? I think it's called Typhon. Use regular green stuff to bulk out a skinny model and use water or petroleum jelly on your tools to keep the putty from sticking to them. Yeah, regular green stuff's pretty sticky. So you do want to either keep your tools that you're using wet, or if, you know, you could use petroleum jelly. I'll be honest, I never use petroleum jelly or anything like that because then I'm like, well, then how do I get paint to stick to it later without having it, like, even you have to wipe it off or whatever, but even I just feel like it's going to leave a residue that's going to make it hard for primer or paint to stick to. So that's why I generally just use water when I'm doing that. Liquid green stuff works for sealing sculpted terrain and larger miniatures and making them look less like putty. I've stopped watching Twitch entirely. Yeah, Twitch numbers are definitely not like they used to be, obviously. I mean, you know, it was a pandemic and everybody was home, so there's that. But yeah, not as much these days. I always read it as typhus. I know, but I think it's typhon, isn't it? Did they... let's see here. I'm going to click this button and go. There we go. So it came with a bunch of weird looking dudes, like, you know, Tyranid dudes. And then it comes with a techno archaeologist, a servitor underseer, and then it's a bunch of like different types of servitors and stuff. And I want to compare and contrast these guys to the automatons from Stargrave. Yeah, that's an idea that I've got. Are the tariffs going to affect the amount of miniatures that we're going to get here in the U.S.? Probably. I mean, we're already seeing not even just the tariffs, but like all the new shipping weird stuff with customs and this and that. Like we're already seeing entire countries that are like, yeah, we're not shipping stuff to the States anymore. Like I've been seeing like social media posts from certain game companies that are like, we can't ship to America anymore through our normal stuff. So if you're going to buy stuff from us, it's going to have to go FedEx or this or that and all these different weird things. Been seeing a lot of those. You know, so we got that going for us, which is awesome. Obviously, we're winning. 3 hours later, while listening to you chat and talk, I've assembled my 5 parsecs cruise ship. First campaign and encounter might actually get to the table this week. Cheers for keeping me company. Absolutely. Yeah, it's gonna be real interesting to see where this goes. Folks, it's 11 o'clock in the morning over here in my neck of the woods, and so I am. It's the end of the show. I have to go find Rex and pick him up and wiggle him a little bit because he likes that, and then eventually get on with the rest of my day. I got to finish up the editing for the next episode. Thank you, of the Snarlcast, which will go live tomorrow morning. Which, like I said, will be a live recording from me and Vince at Nova with a live studio audience, and if you watched it on YouTube, there'll be actual video instead of just like a screen, you know. So that'll be something. Not an interesting video. It'll just be the two of us being, you know, you'll watch me drink a beer, I guess, if you're into that. But that's pretty much about it. That'll go live tomorrow. And the audio version will go live as well and all that kind of stuff. So if you're interested in indie games and indie game design, definitely check out the Snarlcast. You can also find it on our website if you want to. That's cool too. You can go to snarlingbadger.com and the Snarlcast is up in the menu. So you can find it there too. What else? That's pretty much about it. I'll be streaming again tomorrow night, starting to work on the Splizzards. You know, we'll start working on the Space Lizards, starting with the Geckos, I believe, which are the little guys with pistols and shields, and they're pretty cool. They're all primed up and base coated with my airbrush, and it will be starting to use brush time, and we'll be going forward from there. So tell your cats I said pss, pss, pss. Okay, I will. Yeah, looking forward to it. Absolutely. So we will see you folks again soon. Have yourselves a good day. Get some hobby done if you can, and if you can't, don't beat yourself up about it. Stay safe, and thanks for watching.